I got this pen. It's I didn't get the packaging with it, but this is a modern Conklin Endura. I thought we would cover it because why not, eh? I'll cover the parts of the pen. I'll tell you what I like about it, what I don't like about it, and then we'll do a writing sample. Let's start with the finial of the pen. On top of that, there's nothing. That's just the same material as the pen, and I do think that's bonus points, because in a lot of pen makers these days, what you see is that they use a material for the cap and the body, and then the finial is black or something, completely different color. I like that they use the same material here. What I also like is that little groove. At first I thought that groove here had something to do with the clip, but it's just a separate groove filled with a bit of gold. Looks pretty nice. Then you have the clip. The clip clearly says Conklin, and it looks like a very tight clip, but actually it's sort of spring-loaded, which I think is a super cool feature. I really love this. It's easy to operate. It's not tight at all. I mean, it's tight enough to keep the pen in place, but it's actually very easy to operate, very, very pleasant. I like that a lot. I think the material is actually quite stunning. Looks very, very cool. Definitely looks vintagey. Then you have the center band, nice and gold, very reflective. It doesn't say anything. It doesn't have the name Conklin on it. Has nothing on there. Then you have the pen barrel, and on the barrel also a very vintagey touch. It says trademark Conklin, Toledo, Ohio, USA, the Endura. Again, nice material. End of the barrel, same material, so pretty cool. You screw off the cap, you can post it, and then you reveal a simple steel nib, no frills. This is the 1.1 millimeter italic. That's just the nib, very simple. It says Conklin, Toledo, USA. That's all there's to it. A standard hourglass shaped section, nothing too fancy, and then you have those threads. When you hold it, I think the section is pleasant to hold. The threads are pretty sharp, especially at the underside here. I can really feel them dig into my skin, but I hold my pen fairly highly. If you hold it a bit lower, well, you should hold it actually, and then it's not really an issue. Unless you really curl up your fingers, then you will feel it. So be aware of that. I'll open up the screw off the barrel a bit, then you got a very simple converter. Just screws in, which is nice. You can't accidentally pull it out. You have to screw in this converter, which I think is pretty decent. Interesting thing is that I think they may have overdone it a little bit with the threads, because if you check out this converter, you see that at the end it's actually squished a bit. But okay. Anyway, it is in there very securely. So that's the pen. What do I like about it? What do I not like about it? Well, the previous owner said, well, this nib is a bit dry. And in all honesty, it's not really dry, because I've inked it up and it's a very nice wet line. I'll just grab a sheet of paper here. Yeah, it starts up straight away, gives a nice wet line. However, when you use it for a while, it runs dry. And I've seen that with the Conklin Glider as well. Had the same nib. It starts off wet, but as time progresses, it gets a little drier. And I think that has something to do with air replacement, because these nibs, these very broad nibs, use up a lot of ink, and then sometimes they just run dry. There's not such a great air replacement in the feed going on. You can try to hack the feed. There are tutorials on how to do that online, not by me, but by other people. But this is really a pen, this would be great for signatures. Short writing bouts, but not long writing, because then it will run dry at the end of the page. Having said that, it starts out as a really nice wet writer. So, you have to decide for yourself whether you think that's an issue or not. I like the finish. I like the overall looks of the pen. It looks very vintage, which I enjoy in this pen. I love this clip. Brilliant little touch, very easy to use, and superb. So this has a lot going for it. Things I don't like about it, well, the pen doesn't post very deeply. The cap only goes on there until about this point, which means that you really get a very big pen when you hold it like this, and that makes it a little unbalanced. The section, as I said, if you hold your pen a bit higher, these threads really are sharp, so that could be an issue. Clearly, a pen at this price, running dry is a bit of an issue. Maybe that's not an issue with finer nibs, but with these broad italic nibs, it is. And if you buy a pen at this price, I think you can you should be able to expect that it will not run dry, but just keep flowing very well. Sorry. So that could be a bit of an issue, but for just shorter writing bouts, I think this is a really nice pen to have and carry around. Okay, I know you want to see it in action, but let's first take a couple of measurements. Inked up, this pen is about 30 grams, a little bit under that, I think. As to size, capped, it is 140 millimeters, and uncapped, it is 124. Section diameter at the narrowest point is about 11 millimeters, and at the widest point, it's almost 12. So it definitely is a somewhat thicker pen. That's all there's to it. I think we need to see this pen in action. That's what we're going to do next, and that's all there's to it. I hope this was useful, and I'll see you later. Bye-bye. Okay, here we go with the Conklin Endura. This is the 1.1 millimeter italic, and the ink is Montblanc Jonathan Swift. It was a limited edition ink. Very nice green. I thought that would match the barrel of this pen pretty well. Let's do a bit of writing. My experience is that this pen has a very nice wet quality, but my experience is also that the pen will run dry after extended writing, and I find that with a lot of very broad nibs like this 1.1 millimeter italic, the feed runs dry after a while. Don't forget, this is a lot of ink requirement to keep writing, but as you can see, when it starts out, it's very wet. You see it's still wet, but it just runs drier and drier and drier as you write. But I think for that effect to really be noticeable, you need an A4 page and just do continuous writing, and at the end of the page you're going to notice it. So it's not a terrible pen, it's just something that's going to run dry at some point. Let's do a bit of fast writing. Notice how the pen started up immediately. That's a good sign. There we go. Alright. No skipping, no skidding, nothing. I think it's a very nice test result. Wetness. Well, at this point, the pen gushes. And as I said, at some point it'll run a bit drier, but when you start to write, it's likely to be pretty wet. Alright, how about line variation? Well, this is an italic, which means that you get thin lines in this diagonal, but much broader lines in that diagonal. So you have built-in line variation, which is why a lot of people like nibs of this kind. With a bit of pressure, you can open up the tines a bit to make for an even broader line than offered by the italicness. But that's pretty much it. It's not super flexy, but as I said, it has built-in line variation anyway. Reverse writing probably not going to be a big success. Oh, I'm surprised here. Well, it is still fairly wet. I'm sure this is going to run dry at some point, but for now it works pretty well. So there you have it. You can even do some words of reverse writing with it. I think that concludes the writing portion of this review. I hope this was useful. Conklin Endura. And I'll see you later. Bye bye.